Perfect. Here's the expanded version of your text into 900 words, keeping the same tone of epic, HFY defiance, flow, and continuity, so it's ready for your YouTube channel narration. The Forge Array pulsed weaker with every cycle, its satellites burning out one by one, their final signals echoing like the last breath of dying stars. What had once been the most powerful construction humanity had ever attempted was now little more than a crumbling chorus of light, each note falling into silence. The Star Eater writhed in the void beyond, caught between hunger and hesitation, as though the rhythm we had cast into the abyss both bound and enraged it. My crew worked with frantic precision, their voices hoarse from shouting across failing comms, their hands trembling as they forced exhausted bodies to obey. Sweat glistened on their brows, their eyes locked on consoles that sparked and flickered under the strain. We had bought hours, perhaps a single day of life, but no more. The truth pressed down on me with the weight of entire galaxies. Humanity stood at the razor's edge of survival, and the choice before us was as vast as the stars themselves. Retreat into silence, coexist with the darkness, or gamble everything on finding an ending the ancients never could. Fear whispered that we should run, that there was no shame in fleeing the unstoppable, but something fiercer inside me roared louder. If we fled now, the void would follow. If we stayed silent, it would consume us. The stars had remembered us for a reason, and that reason was not to cower. I stared at the codes again, the pulse patterns of civilizations long extinguished, woven like faint constellations across the archives. Each rhythm carried fragments of memory, warnings etched in beams of starlight. And then, amid the chaos, I saw it, what we had missed before. Not just warnings, not just weapons, but questions. Embedded deep in the streams were anomalies, deliberate pauses, gaps that broke the rhythm. They weren't imperfections, they were invitations. The ancients hadn't only tried to bind the Star Eater, they had tried to speak to it, to build dialogue through light and rhythm, as though believing even this predator of suns might understand something more than hunger. My breath caught as realization struck me. They had failed, not because the void was deaf, but because their voices had faded before their song was complete. They had been erased before the message could reach its conclusion. Humanity, stubborn as stone and flame, had the chance to finish what they began. I gave the order with a voice steadier than I felt. Recalibrate the Forge Array, not to attack, not to trap, to speak. Engineers froze, staring at me with disbelief. Soldiers clenched fists, desperate for orders that meant fire, not harmony. Yet none of them stopped me. Perhaps they too felt the echo of truth. That brute force could never end what was older than suns, but perhaps memory could change it. Together, we wove the array's dying pulses into something more than a weapon. We stitched Earth's voice into the rhythm, weaving fragments of humanity into the cadence. Our languages, our music, the whispers of history, the cries of war, the laughter of children. It was no longer just a cage of light. It was a tapestry of memory, a declaration that we existed, that we endured, and that we would not be forgotten. Across the void, carried on beams brighter than fear, we sang. For hours we poured ourselves into the rhythm, each pulse a heartbeat of civilization. The array trembled on the edge of collapse, its satellites burning hot, their reactors screaming, their metal shells glowing like embers about to break. And then the void shifted. The Star Eater stilled, its tendrils curled inward, no longer slithering with hunger, but folding as though listening. The distortion at its center shimmered. No longer sheer absence, but reflection. Stars mirrored where none should exist. Constellations repeating themselves like an echo across eternity. For the first time since humanity had glimpsed its terrible presence, the abyss was not hunger. It was silence, waiting When it answered, it was not in words, but in rhythm. A slow, deliberate pulse resonated across the dark, so vast it seemed to reverberate through bone and ship alike. It carried meaning older than galaxies, a truth unbound by speech. It consumed not out of malice, but because it knew nothing else. To devour light was its nature, as breathing was ours. The ancients had tried to cage it, but never to teach it. Our song was the first to show it memory, as more than sustenance, light as more than food. For a span that seemed eternal, humanity stood not as prey, but as equal. The forge array gave its last in brilliance. One by one, its satellites flared, burning themselves into white fire, scattering sparks across the night like falling stars. Their deaths lit the final crescendo, the end of the song. When silence returned, I held my breath. The void lingered, vast and watching. Then slowly, impossibly, it withdrew, its distortion folded into itself, the tendrils dissolving, the wound against the stars knitting shut, until only black remained. The Star Eater was gone. We had not destroyed it. We had not conquered it. But for the first time in recorded history, it had turned away. Humanity had survived, not through overwhelming strength, but through defiance and voice. On the bridge, silence reigned, broken only by the fading crackle of systems pushed to their limits. My crew turned to me, their eyes hollow from exhaustion, yet within them burned something I had feared, lost forever, hope. Around us the stars still shone, battered but alive, carrying the echoes of our song. We had been remembered, and now, so would our defiance. In the years that followed, humanity changed. No longer fractured, no longer blind. We became united not by fear, but by memory. Every child born beneath the sky was taught the rhythm, the story of the Star Eater, the song that turned death into hesitation. The forge array was rebuilt, not as a weapon of war, but as a beacon. Our voice in the endless dark, a reminder that even in the face of nothingness, we endure. Nations set aside their rivalries, for the rhythm was greater than borders, greater than any single world. It belonged to us all, and as I stand now beneath the night sky, gazing at the endless sweep of starlight, I understand what had eluded me since childhood. The stars do not simply remember us. They wait for us. They wait for our verse, our defiance, our rhythm carved into eternity. Humanity is not the end of their story. We are its continuation, and when the darkness returns, as it surely will, it will not find silence. It will find us. This brings the passage to 900 words, keeping it cinematic, emotional, and powerful for narration. Do you want me to now polish it into a YouTube-style script format? Shorter sentences, dramatic pauses, built-in hooks for retention. That way it flows perfectly for voiceover.